Alright, welcome YouTube. So today I'm going to do another kind of tutorial for you guys showing how I use Gravity Sketch from start to finish. It'll pretty much show you every single step of the way. I might forget to do a couple things or record a couple things, but it should cover everything. So the first thing I'm going to do is, let me delete these, is create this cylinder here. I'll usually start with that to set the wheelbase, and then I'm going to copy and paste that a couple more times just to establish the rough wheelbase for this vehicle. So I'm doing that. This is the front wheel, and then 1, 2, 3 wheels before, so similar to my other videos, and one more for the rear wheel. And this could be the front and rear overhang is usually about a wheel, but I'll leave that out for now. But today I'm going to do this car. This is an older sketch I did and updated a little bit with some new front graphics and stuff, and so I think this will be the base images I'll use for this. And I did this side view just to help speed along this process so I don't spend too much time designing on the fly. This way I can focus on just showing the process all together. So that's that there. So in side view, I'm just going to delete these. I've established my wheelbase already. It's a little tricky to get these images perfectly lined up on this plane, but I think that should be close enough for this. I'll be tweaking a lot of the lines as I go. So I'm going to start out in the ink tool. I'm just going to draw in red for now, just so it's visible on top of the sketch. Turn on pressure and planar as well, and I'll pull the left trigger there. A half pull will kind of snap it to different orientations, so I'll just snap it like that to the side view. Now I'm just going to go and kind of trace some of these lines here. Again, these are going to be just rough, and I'll go in and tweak them later. It's kind of like doing a tape drawing, but in 3D. So you don't have to be too precise. You're just kind of trying to lay out some of the volumes and proportions you want to create with this vehicle, kind of lay out the extents of the hood and fender, as well as the ground plane. Actually, that one I'm going to delete a lot of these and try and pull it out in a straight line to that rear wheel, just so that's pretty well lined up. Then I'll just tweak that up just a little bit for the front ramp angle, and then I'll pull off another one. Oops. Let's use a smart move for the rear, and maybe one more, just so I can get a little bit of tip up there. I'll play around with the overall rear overhang and front overhang as I'm developing this. This is more just a kind of rough thought on where I want some of these lines to go. I guess that image is slightly in front of that line, and then we'll just do this to indicate some of these little design lines here. I'll start pulling these out in space in a second, but I think that should do it for a lot of these. This line needs to come down just a hair and a little forward. Add a little more tension, a little more equal kind of shape above the wheel there. And these will probably be for the headlight, and then probably we'll do just a little one for that rear corner there. So that's pretty good for getting started on the side view. Now I'm just going to put the sketch over here just to reference. I'll mainly be using this front 3/4. And when I get to the rear, I'm just going to make something up based off of what I've done on the side there. So now I'm going to go ahead and just make all these black. I think that helps a little bit more. I'm not really a fan of that red. So for now, I'm just going to turn off the planer, and I'm just going to copy and paste this wheel a couple times just so I can start to establish the width of the vehicle. Usually it'll be about 3 wheels wide. That way I can pull this out. And since it's a sports car, I'm going to make it just a hair wider than that. And then copy and paste this to the rear. I'm going to pull this out just to use this actual wheel so I'm sure it's in the right place. And then I'll move it out just a hair, make the rear a little wider than the front. And then I can get rid of those there. Now I'll just start pulling some of these lines out to establish some of this in 3D there. Now when you start editing these, you'll want to remember to turn off planer. This way you can move them in space. If you left planer on, they will only move on this vertical plane there. So we'll just do that. Pull this down and then out just a little bit to have a little curvature to that body side. I'm going to kind of redraw some of these lines as I go, but same with this. I'll actually just move this lower one here out, and then I'm going to we'll go a little bit more inboard. I think I want a nice big shoulder through here, so we'll make the DLO quite skinny, and then I'm just going to tip it over, and then when I edit it, turn off planer. Right now that's pretty good. There's a few more points than I want, but that should be okay. And then this will actually probably taper. I don't know if that's the best way to do that, but this will probably taper to the rear. And I'll just pull it out a smidge more. Now I'm going to pull this belt line out, and we'll say somewhere like that. Turn off planer, and that will kind of start to tip in as well. That's actually, should probably be another one. Yeah, no, that's about right. This kind of section through here, I don't think it's going to be that wide. I might have this a little closer in, so I'll just use that as reference. And then I will pull this out. This one, definitely turn off the planer. And I think I'm going to just start pulling these points inwards. Now I'm just kind of eyeballing it as I go. And then this out as well. I think I'll just turn this in space and kind of establish where I think that light's going to go. It's actually probably a little more like that. But this is still pretty rough at the moment. I don't need these. I think this is going to be the corner of that wheel back here. Maybe it's a little more vertical like this. Actually, no, it's going to be down there. That should do. And this one here, pull this out, turn off planer, and I'll probably just rotate this a little bit, kind of establish that line there that wants to hook up with the end of this kind of fender line. which actually this is going to be quite a bit out further than this belt line there, which we can pull in and maybe pull this down. Start establishing some of the front windshield cowl here. Just draw a line out. Actually, let me check my settings. Yeah, that's about right. I was just checking the smoothing settings. I like this third one here. It gives, I think, the right amount of points. You can go kind of one more and it will give you less points. And that's some more. So as you go down smoothing, you'll get even more points. So it's kind of a fine line of how many points you want while you're editing and how many you want so you can capture your exact curve. I think actually this cabin might want to be a little bit smaller as well. This line can come up. And this one needs a little bit more love. Kind of start to turn it back that way. I think we want this to be really, really round here. Oops. Turn up some of the weight there and taper it towards that. Not bad. And then this can be the that could be the line that runs into the wheel arch there. Turn off planer. And I'm just going to grab all these points and kind of bend them inwards. Not too bad, I think. Yeah, that's about right. I think I'm going to use the outer part of these circles here as the wheel arch for the front and rear, and then I'll just build the wheel a little smaller, add some jounts just to reestablish some of the proportions I want there. I think this can come in just a smidge more to that point. It's nice to just sight down things and move them just a hair. Not bad. Change some of this line weight, kind of finesse that. I think I want this angle to be just a little bit more dynamic there. And this like that. I'll probably have some of the rocker turn under, so that's not going to be the widest point. I think that might be more accurate for that. This line's got a little bump here. Again, just getting a different view on some of these curves, can really help see some of the bumps and help you kind of really make them so they're nice and clean. So this is actually, I use that from the side view here as the highest point of that fender, but the hood is definitely going to be a little lower than that, so I'm just going to edit this so it comes down a little bit from that. It's probably going to be a pretty low hood there. Just tweak these a little bit more. I'm going to get rid of that, and it can actually be at the farthest point there. These will move back, and this I think can come back a little bit as well. Yeah, that actually wants to come to the outer edge of these lights, so they might be somewhere like that. Once I start drawing in some of these pieces in the front, I'll start to establish that a little bit better. Actually, let's use this as the start to that headlight. Looks like the trajectory wants to go something like that. And this still has planer on it. So we can start pulling these. This has a little bit of a break to it this way. Okay, and that can come off of that there. A little bit of a hiccup to this, like that. I think this wants to be a smidge shorter as well. And it does look like actually this is quite a bit further in, like that. And this is just a nice big surface if you're to continue this around to the fender there. Oops. And I'm just going to put my settings back. I must have moved that. And this light actually can be somewhere like that, because this is almost to the tip of the light there, this hard edge. And this goes somewhere like that. And that'll be up there. Maybe that's like that. It's not too bad. I think I want this to be just like a big grill like that. Not too bad. This is where you're just kind of blocking in elements and playing with the size and proportion. That kind of looks like it's coming down. You've got the headlight coming like that, doing something like that. That's just going to be a reference, that sketch. I might kind of deviate from it depending how I think these parts are going to look. It's not too bad overall. We get a nice break under here. This is definitely a lot more straight. I'll probably do some sort of BMW something in there. I don't know. I don't know if I want to do kidneys. I might try and do something of my own there. That's okay. It actually seems like it's a bit too low. So we'll bring this stuff up and retilt that hood that way. I'm going to turn off planar on that just so I can re-snap some of these to the center. Pick up some of these lines here just to help raise that a little bit. That's not too bad. Bring those pieces there. And this definitely has a undercut out. And definitely not a pretty curve. I think some of these settings actually change. That's smooth. I'm going to knock it all the way up a little bit. This is just a smidge too many points for what I want to do right now. We'll just move some of this stuff. Just be careful when you have your smart move on. You can see that gray pops up when your hands are close together. So try and keep them a little further apart if you don't like that. So this is definitely going to have some break to it. And this is like that. Actually, this could probably come down. As well as these points. It looks like we've got this kind of break, this corner here, right at the edge of that light. and somewhere in there like that for this. Maybe this needs to be a little bit more angled. I think that needs to be higher as well as that. That's the nice thing, is you could just kind of move the points or move your curves anywhere in space. It's really easy to do and kind of line them up. This has actually got to come a little bit more this way. I think I'm going to do the real thin light there like that. And probably down in space. It's going to take a little bit of little bit of time for you to get used to moving some of these points in 3D, but you know, it's pretty good after you spend some time with it. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly how that's going to work there, but I think that helps this corner breathe a little bit, and it's going to have some positive curve to it. Maybe not that much. And we'll want to keep these in a little bit because there's going to be this fender will probably start to roll under there, so we can move some of these points in to accommodate that in the future. That should be all right. I'm just going to move these points behind the wheel so they're out of the way. And I will start to sketch out this front corner here. So I think it's easy to just kind of start putting in lines. Let's bump that down. Just so you can start playing with the volume here, trying to figure out what some of these things are going to do in space. This seems actually like it's quite a bit shorter that way. A little undercut from here, but it definitely comes out like that. There's going to be, maybe that's in. Looks like I put another piece like that, so this is actually going to be a lot further in, I think, and that way I can put this piece here. Actually, that looks like this lower corner needs to come in quite a bit, like that, and this as well. Maybe that's a little. It's kind of, you just got to remember to look at what you're trying to do and compare the two lines. I think this is that top one. Yeah, these need to come up quite a bit. Just going to start deleting a few points just to manipulate this a little easier. And that could be there. This definitely has more of a feeling like it's a little wider. So I think there's like this angle all of these things are doing. I think it's more like that. So even this, I think that headlight can come in like this. Oops. Make this a little smaller. Kind of just looking at that core coming off the fender here. I think these pieces can come in even more than that. So I can get that a little bit. Yeah, this isn't the best corner. This definitely feels like it wants to be more like that. which actually we can do that if we bring it all back. So all this stuff can come rearwards. And something like that. Get rid of that. Pull that down. Pull this stuff back. Yeah, there's definitely more angle to this here. And that's got a hard point. Bring that all the way back to there. That's probably good, and I think there's going to be a break right about there. Yeah, that feels a lot better. I think this is a little too high still, but we can lean that over. And once I get some surfaces in there, I'll have a better idea of where some of these pieces need to go. This is definitely like this. There's definitely more 3D to that. So I think that's going to come down, and I'll draw another line there. Just make that straight for now. I think there's supposed to be another break here. So, oops. So I think that'll come back and we'll make this surface a little more vertical through there. So you can really kind of start to establish a lot with just curves here. You can kind of see, well, it's harder to tell for you guys watching this, but I can tell there's depth here, and I'll probably have some section that does that in that area there. And then this will probably fan out to the fender there. And we'll do something like that. Maybe up into the wheel arch here. We'll have to play with that a little bit more, depending on what we want. Yeah, it looks like this is going to come to this corner like that, and then there's a kind of break somewhere in there like that. So I will start to do this. Actually, it looks like it comes off of there a little bit more. Let's get a little bit more of a positive to it. Maybe this corner can come out just a hair. I think something like that looks pretty good. I'm gonna start tweaking these points, get the grill kind of situated. Maybe it does want to come up like that. Just add a couple points to tighten that. I don't really want to do kidneys, but I think that's what I'm going to start doing. Yeah, we'll keep it like this, and I'll do something internally there to separate that big face. Just going to bring that out to give it a little more crown. Same with this. Start to bring these up. You don't want things to kind of sweetheart there. I think that should be okay. And then we'll put the hood there like that. And then this allows us to have our undercut that comes into this area here. So we're nearing the end of this part. If you'd like to watch the rest, please catch it in part 2. Thanks for watching.